Hey guys, how was your yesterday new moon? Did you figure out what it was that you were thinking to burn up, or what aspect of your life needed some cleansing in it? Did you feel propelled or some energy to look at something in a new way? Curious to know. Feel free to share it in the comments. So today, it's quite a bit colder. We have winter now. And so I have a heartwarming story for you. So maybe in your house you can be nice and warm if you turn up the heat and wrap yourself up in blankets. And I wanted to also warm your heart at the same time. So here we go. First, though, before I get into the heartwarming story, I really want to preface it by sharing a vision that I had a few days ago. So, I've been writing a book and I've talked about that. That'll be completed early next year about the art of creation. And the vision that woke me up while I was still in my magical wake sleep state was that love is like electricity. It can manifest in so many different ways. Now, if you think of electricity, it can, heat an oven for dinner, or it can charge your smartphone, or it can power a vacuum to clean your house, or turn on a light in the second the switch is flipped. What we don't realize, though, is that love is the same thing. It is another invisible but incredibly powerful force. And when you have love in your channel, it can manifest in so many different ways. It has the power to heal. It can level you up to attract a better job. It can increase your self value, which will also increase your income. It can heal relationships, and it can save someone from dying. But most importantly, when we have love flowing regularly through our channels with no resistance, it will effortlessly melt away any non supportive beliefs that we have. And it will change the way that we experience each day, each interaction, and each moment. And that I can promise you. So, just like electricity, we can't see love, but we sure can feel it. And we can't see electricity, but we know how to use it. So I want to help you have faith in the unseen and cultivate a deeper sense of awareness towards the energy of love, and help it to flow a little more fluidly through your pipeline. Because when the energy of love is present, we simultaneously invite the allness of Source, all of it. All of Source in that moment is magically in the same place as our pipeline, which is filled with love. And we begin to experience magic and miracles. So let me tell you this really remarkable story of healing, of the power of love, and then let's see how you can apply this energy of love in your pipeline for yourself to perform miracles in your life. Remember, I talked before in my other videos that all a miracle really is a pattern interrupt, right? So we keep going through our life the same, or we keep having the same experiences, and then all of a sudden we think, ooh, a miracle happened. What actually happened was in that instant, we allowed something other than what we have been patterning to exist. And so the pattern is broken, and we call it a miracle, but really, you're the magnificent creator of all of those moments. And so let's get some more clarity on how we can create more miracles in our life, because I know you do experience them from time to time, but the lack of miracles happening in your world on a regular basis is actually a cause for concern, because we are creators. And we are able to create miracles. We are able to create pattern interruptions. So those miracles that I talked about a couple days ago, remember I said they're waiting for you in escrow. They're waiting for you to release the baggage and to begin to level up by filling up your love tank to meet that level of desires. If you haven't watched that video, it's on my YouTube channel, and it's talking about how to level up to meet your desires. And I'm talking about the lift lock system and the geniusness of that, and how really it applies to our world. And the more that we fill ourselves up with self-love, with self-appreciation, it honestly, it's, you're going to see this in the story, how it magically transforms things. There is nothing that is more transformative. You don't need to go to a healer. You don't need to run to do this modality or get certified in this. Guys, it's so simple. We have taken spirituality and we have turned it into a religion. We've turned it into a commodity. But it's, you don't need anybody else. We don't need intermediaries anymore. This is a relationship, and the relationship is between us, and it's the beautiful power of love that creates miracles. Okay, so Socrates said that there is no disease of the body apart from the mind. And in lesson 165 of A Course in Miracles, it says the lesson of the day is, let my mind not deny the truth. How many truths are we denying on a regular basis? And we don't even realize that we're doing it. So the only healing necessary is giving up the old beliefs. That's our resistance to anything, right? That's what keeps the patterns in place, is the old belief. As long as the belief is playing out, the pattern continues to play out. But when we can interject some light, some love, we create that pattern interrupt, which is miracles. So we begin to change the way that we think about ourselves. Now here's the story, and it's awesome. So in 1980, Evie McDonald was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And by the time the doctors had figured out what the problem was, the disease was already really advanced. In Evie's words, she called herself a bowl of jello in a wheelchair. The doctor came into the hospital room and gave her the news that the best that she could hope for was a measly 6 months. So Evie had a master's degree in nursing and knew that this was a fatal illness. She went home and she fumed and she cried and she let herself be scared and anxious and angry about the unfairness of her situation for a couple of days. Can you imagine? 6 months to live, right? So then Evie had a life-changing thought after a couple of days of just letting her just sit in that little swamp. Even though she was dying, even though her body just barely worked anymore, and even though she was told she only had 6 months left to live, she wondered, is there something that I can do to make the most out of my last 6 months, even though I'm in a wheelchair, even though I have a body that doesn't want to work with me anymore? Somehow, maybe, could I even make them a good 6 months? So she came up with a plan. Evie sat in front of a mirror, naked, and looked at herself. She had polio as a child, so she had 2 withered limbs. In addition, she had been overweight her whole life, and now she was dying of a wasting disease. Evie sat there and experienced all the frustration and all the hateful feelings towards her body and her life and this disease that was eating her up. She wrote them down on a list, and it was a long list. You see, she didn't suppress them. She sat there with them. She let them exist. She gave them permission to be there. She let the pain and the frustration be present with her, and she gave herself permission to feel them. With only 6 months left to live, she created space to hold all of that pain, just like it was a little child that needed to be heard and hugged and accepted. Then Evie did something else. She started a new list of things that she liked about herself, and she began with her hair and her hands because she'd always been quite proud of them. But this new list of good qualities did not come as quickly as the other list. Obviously, right? We're very skilled at coming up with the negatives. So she decided to sit in front of the mirror without any clothes on every day, 3 times a day, to work on her new list. She was determined. So she would set a little timer for herself of 20 minutes of each session to make herself stay there, because it was so unnatural and incredibly hard considering the circumstances she faced. And you know, despite the circumstances we're in, I don't know if it'd be any easier for us. All these negative thoughts and feelings were so intense and at times overwhelming. But before she would leave, she would find at least one new thing that she would like about her body or her life that she could add to her appreciation list. Over time, Evie's list of positive qualities grew longer, and eventually it became as long as the old list. But still, she kept practicing, and her new list continued to grow. Then one day, it was like she crossed over a threshold. She wheeled herself into the mirror room, and for the first time, all the negative thoughts and feelings disappeared. They simply weren't there anymore. Awesome, hey? All she could feel for herself that day was love and compassion, not only for her body, which she now saw as a miracle of creation and a vehicle that still served her, but also for the person and the soul that was inside the body. She was finally able to see herself as the being who could experience these wonderful feelings and thoughts, and as a person who had done so much good in the world, and still she kept practicing. At some point, she began to have more strength in her limbs. Eventually, she started even walking again, feeding herself, clothing herself, and doing everything normally. Evie became the first person ever to completely recover from ALS. And when that happened, she realized she's got a whole lot more work to do in the world. Whew, I got goosebumps. She emphasized that this miracle she experienced was not the miracle that she was going for when she set out doing this. She was told she had a fatal illness. She expected to die. All she was trying to do was to find some love and compassion for herself before that happened. If she could just get to a place where she accepted and loved herself unconditionally before she died, then that would be enough for a lifetime. Isn't that so beautiful? So this is what I mean. She filled up her pipeline with love, and by doing this, she invited Source also into that invisible pipeline. And just like electricity, it was able to be used not just to cultivate this feeling of love and compassion for her body, despite suffering from a debilitating disease, but she also filled herself up so much that she was able to transform her painful feeling into a miracle that she did not expect. So the takeaway today is that when we focus on filling up our minds, our bodies, our homes, and our energetic pipeline with the energy of love, we reconnect ourselves to a portal for receiving miracles beyond anything we can desire. Happy Sunday, everyone. And remember, you are the magnificent creator of your life. Mwah.